screen fades from black to a sleek chrome logo, Car Show. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Car Show, your #1 spot for the machines that move us. I'm your host, and today we're doing something different. We're going beyond the world of production cars, beyond even the concepts you see at Geneva. We're telling a story about a car that probably shouldn't exist. If you love discovering the absolute bleeding edge of automotive tech, the kind of stuff that sounds like science fiction, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You're not going to want to miss the deep dives we do here, and this story is the very definition of a deep dive. So buckle up. This is the Astryx HyperBlade. Elias Thorne felt the grit of the Mojave Desert in his teeth. It was a taste he knew well. He'd spent 30 years out here in this unforgiving expanse of heat and mirages breaking cars. Or rather, letting cars break themselves against the twin walls of physics and his own relentless demands. He was the test driver of choice for manufacturers with too much money and not enough common sense. He'd wrestled with prototype V12s that tried to shake themselves to pieces, piloted experimental hybrids that hissed like angry snakes, and survived 3 separate fires. At 55, Elias was a legend, which in his line of work was just a polite word for survivor. He was also jaded. Cars, he felt, had lost their souls. They were fast, yes, but they were numb. Insulated coffins of carbon fiber and software, all designed to protect the driver from the very sensation of driving. That's why the invitation was so baffling. It had arrived not as an email, but as a wafer-thin titanium card delivered by a courier who looked more like a bodyguard. The card bore a single laser-etched logo, a stylized A that looked like a bird of prey, and a set of coordinates. No company name, no press kit, just the coordinates and a time. The coordinates had led him 300 miles into the Nevada desert, to a location that didn't officially exist. It was a massive, featureless black building that seemed to have risen from the cracked earth, absorbing the brutal desert sun without reflecting a single ray. The name Astryx was etched in small, white letters over a hangar door that unzipped itself with a silent, magnetic hiss. A woman in a severe black suit led him through an antiseptic white corridor into a staging area that felt more like a laboratory than a garage. And there it was. Elias stopped dead. He had seen every hypercar of the last 3 decades. This was not one of them. The Astryx HyperBlade was an act of aggression against the air. The word razor-edged from the cryptic brief he'd finally received was an understatement. It looked like it had been carved from a single block of obsidian by a race of beings who considered curves a sign of weakness. The angles were so sharp, so precise, that the highlights on its bodywork didn't bend, they broke. Its paint wasn't paint at all, but a dark, iridescent material that seemed to shift between matte black and a deep, oily purple. It was low, impossibly wide, and the cockpit was a mere suggestion, a teardrop of glass fused into the fuselage. There were no visible wings, no spoilers, not even door handles. It was a weapon disguised as a car. It's sharp, Elias said, his voice embarrassingly hoarse. Form follows function, Mr. Thorne. Or in this case, form is the function. The voice came from a man who emerged from the shadows of the briefing room. He was tall, thin, and had the restless, burning eyes of an obsessive. Dr. Eris Thorne, lead engineer. Thorne? Any relation? Elias asked, extending a hand. None. Just a cosmic coincidence, the doctor replied, his grip firm and cold. We appreciate you coming. Most testers we vetted, they lack the necessary analog experience. They are products of the digital age. You are not. You've felt a car breathe. You've felt one die. We need that. Elias tore his eyes from the car. So this is the HyperBlade. It's electric, I assume. A gross simplification, but yes. Dr. Thorne gestured to a massive holographic display that shimmered to life. The automotive world is playing with toys. Lithium-ion batteries, radial flux motors. Antiquated. The HyperBlade is a generational leap. Do you know what you're looking at? A schematic of the car appeared. It's a monocoque, obviously, Elias began. It is a 3D printed graphene alloy monocoque printed in a vacuum over 6 months. It has a tensile strength 100 times that of titanium at 1/10 the weight. The entire chassis, everything you see, weighs 150 kilograms. But that, Dr. Thorne zoomed in on the powertrain, is the heart. Elias stared. Solid-state batteries? The first true production application. A 200 kilowatt-hour graphene polymer electrolyte pack. No flammable liquid. No thermal runaway. It can discharge its entire capacity in 90 seconds or cruise for 1,000 miles, depending on the demand. It powers 4 pancake motors, one at each wheel. Axial flux, Elias murmured, recognizing the flat, disc-like shape. The tech was highly theoretical, incredibly power-dense. Precisely. Quad axial flux permanent magnet motors. Total combined output, and please try to comprehend this, Mr. Thorne, is 3,470 horsepower. The torque is, for all intents and purposes, limitless. It's governed by the traction control AI. 0 to 60 is 1.2 seconds. 0 to 200 is 4.9. The top speed is... Well, we've electronically limited it to 320 miles per hour because the bespoke Michelin tires turn to plasma at 330. It is, by every metric, the most powerful land vehicle ever created. Elias felt a cold knot in his stomach. This wasn't a car. It was a horizontal missile. And the liquid metal things? The brief mentioned fins. Dr. Thorne's eyes lit up with a fanatical glee. Ah, yes. De pièces de résistance. You see no wings, correct? That's because the entire body is the wing. Or more accurately, it can be whatever it needs to be. Instantly. He pointed to the sharp creases along the wheel arches, the roofline, and the massive rear diffuser. Those channels are filled with a proprietary magneto-rheological ferrofluid. A liquid metal, as our marketing department insists on calling it. It is a suspension of amorphous metal nanoparticles in a non-Newtonian fluid held in stasis by a baseline electromagnetic field. He tapped a console. A panel on the car's flank slid open, revealing a reservoir of shimmering mercury-like fluid. Our AI coprocessor, a quantum state unit, monitors driving conditions 10,000 times per second. When it requires downforce, or drag, or even a lateral yaw control force, it doesn't move a flap. That's archaic. It applies a focused magnetic field. The fluid in those channels instantly solidifies, extruding from the bodywork with a near-zero transition time. It can form a razor-thin fin, a broad air brake, a complex vortex-generating cascade of winglets. It can create 1,000 pounds of downforce for a single corner, then retract, all in the space of a millisecond. It is active Aero, Mr. Thorne, where the active part is alive. Elias was speechless. He'd seen active spoilers, even the complex active Aero on Pagani and McLaren. This was another order of magnitude. This was biological. It's time, Dr. Thorne said. The canopy of the HyperBlade didn't lift. It unseamed itself from the body and slid forward. The cockpit was Spartan. A yoke, not a wheel, and 2 deep carbon-backed seats. The rest was just a continuous curve of black glass that, as Elias sat down, lit up around him. It wasn't a dashboard. It was a 360-degree holographic projection. Data, telemetry, and a visual representation of the track ahead. He strapped into the 6-point harness. The canopy sealed with the faint hiss of a vacuum pump. The silence was absolute. "Systems check lap," Dr. Thorne's voice echoed in his helmet. "The AI, call sign Janus, is in nanny mode. It will assist you. Just get a feel for the power." Gently. Elias pressed his thumb to the ignition panel. Nothing happened. No roar, no vibration. Just a single word on the display, ready. He eased his foot onto the throttle pedal. The car didn't roll. It translated. It moved from a dead stop to 60 miles per hour in the time it took him to blink, and it did so in utter, terrifying silence. There was no gear shift, no engine screaming for revs. Just a rising high-frequency whine like a capacitor charging to bursting point. He braked for the first turn, a long right-hand sweeper. The deceleration was even more brutal than the acceleration, pinning him against the harness. He turned the yoke. The car's response was not a response. It was a premonition. It was already at the apex as he was thinking about it. He powered out, the whine rising to a shriek. 150, 200, 250 miles per hour. The desert landscape was no longer a landscape, just a brown and blue smear. The car was utterly, impossibly stable. He glanced at the side view cameras. As he entered a high-speed chicane, he saw it. A shimmer, A flash of silver, like a scalpel, extruded from the edge of the rear wheel arch, held for a fraction of a second, and vanished. The car had just negated 1,000 pounds of lateral force without him even feeling it. He did 2 more laps, pushing harder, and pulled back into the pit. The silence when the ready light went out was deafening. He unbuckled, his hands steady but his heart hammering. Dr. Thorne was at the door as the canopy opened. "Well?" Elias climbed out, pulling off his helmet. "It's perfect," he said. And he hated it. "It's sterile. It's a video game. The AI is doing everything. I'm just cargo. It has no soul, Doctor. You've built the fastest, most brilliant, most boring machine on Earth." Dr. Thorne stared at him, his expression unreadable. Then a slow smile. Stared at him, his expression unreadable. Then a slow smile.